Chapter 10. Bella's Point of View. Back at school on Monday, I was getting glares from most of the teachers. I hadn't done any of my homework since the dance. Hell, I hadn't done a lot of it before the dance either. I hadn't told Jenna what was going on, and I definitely hadn't mentioned the recommendation for me to begin my therapy sessions again. There was no way I'd get into college at this point, but it wasn't really a big concern. I stood leaning against the lockers, avoiding people's glances, but I couldn't avoid the whispers of my classmates. My friends joined me, not noticing the looks I was getting, because they were arguing about something. Lisa rolled her eyes at them. Well, I think we should go, the IDs look so real. The rest of the group was crossing their arms and looking skeptical. Avery, but there are like grown men there. What if they think we're hot and try to fuck us? Avery was honestly one of the dumbest people I knew, yet she was one of my closest friends. Lisa, just go along with it. Or are you waiting for Brandon to finally sleep with you? He doesn't even know you exist. Guys, I said, what are we talking about? I'd decided to actually see what they were talking about. Tired of laughing silently at them now. Lisa looped her arm through mine. See, Belle, some of the hot guys are rumored to be going to Thunder, you know that bar? And so we asked if we could come and they said yes, and that they can get us fake IDs. My eyes widened. Thunder was the bar I sang at, and I was singing there again tonight. I don't think you guys should go there. You guys don't know the first thing about going out and being around that kind of crowd. Lisa arched an eyebrow. And you do? I shook my head. What I mean is that you don't know how to tell a guy no. Then again, neither did I. Lisa looked annoyed. Well, we are going whether you like it or not. Then she began to flounce off, but I stopped her. I'm coming. I don't want you to get hurt. She smirked, looking so happy, she squealed, and they ran off talking about dresses and guys and makeup. Alice just shrugged. Just let them go, Bella. They are fucking weird. It won't be too bad if they see you sing there, right? I sighed. I didn't really want them in that bar. I didn't want them seeing that different side of me. I rolled my eyes at Alice and we walked to our next class. I couldn't really concentrate. We sat down near the back and used our books to hide our phones while we continued to text each other about that night. Are they actually going to go through with this, Alice? I saw her text bubbles appear and then disappear. She needed to think about it a second. ADK, probably. They don't really understand why it's bad, you know. I signed and slumped down with my face on the desk. I had texted Caden last night, for the very first time on my own, not in response to him. It was a little bit stupid, but I didn't sing in front of people that knew me. Strangers were much easier to deal with. I'd wanted to know what he thought. But men are stupid, and so his reply had been something like, I didn't like the men staring at you, but yes, you were amazing, my love. Again, men are dumb. The day passed by quickly, and I didn't really pay attention. School wasn't really a place I wanted to be. As soon as it ended, I was startled out of my walking comatose state by Avery, who was overly excited about clubbing tonight. I held his wrist until he diverted his eyes away from her and onto me. Get the fuck out of my way, or you're gonna have fun in the hospital for 6 months, I said calmly. He just laughed, and his hands snapped out of my grasp, latching on to Lisa's small waist and moving upward. I tried again to step in the way, but it didn't work. It just seems to annoy him. He took a step back and then reached out a hand for me. As soon as his hand brushed my arm, I heard a gunshot. It was like the scene at the dance all over again. Everything froze. All the dancing drunk people's faces were turned in the direction of the door. A man stood there, a gun in his hand facing upwards, as flecks of wood fell out of the bullet while in the ceiling. He was leaning casually against the doorframe.
"Get your hands off of her."
He said into the silence.
"Caden."
The man slowly backed up. "Who's going to make me?"
Caden stepped forward. "Do you or do you not see the gun in my hand? I promise you, if you don't leave right now, you won't take one more step ever again." Pulling my friends behind me, my eyes never leaving Caden, I went to a side exit. "Guys, get in the car. Call Alice. She lives a couple blocks away and can get here fast to drive you back. Don't wait for me. Just go to my house. Jenna's not home and there's a key in the mailbox." Lisa at least looked a little bit like she understood what I was saying and began to pull Avery to the car. I walked back inside the club. People were talking again, but a staring contest was taking place between Caden and the guy. I walked over to Caden.
I couldn't help but stare. In the dim lights of the bar, he looked so muscular, with chiseled cheekbones and his perfect hair falling so naturally over his face. He looked like an angel. What was wrong with me? This was the man that had stalked me for years. I couldn't like him.
But I did. I really, really did. He brought a weird sense of comfort to me when I was around him, and a sense of jealousy I hadn't felt. If he was fucking around and ruining anyone else's life except for mine, I was going to be pissed. I tentatively stood next to him and wrapped my arms around his chest. I couldn't have another guy shot, not while I was there. The police would definitely see how I was the one similarity in all of their cases, and I knew Caden wouldn't risk that.
I felt his muscles relax under my touch, but his gun arm stayed raised. "Caden, the cops are gonna be here soon," I whispered in his ear. But still he did not move. He was nearly shaking with anger. His eyes were dark and unmoving, staring straight into the man's soul. I bit my lip, knowing I needed to get his attention somehow. I grabbed his free hand and pulled it around my waist, pushing my hand up to his chest to feel his heartbeat. I leaned against him, feeling how warm he was. I felt him relax and pull his arms tight around me.
"Nice to see you, princess," he muttered in a husky voice.
I blushed slightly and looked down, his stupid voice sending butterflies fluttering in my stomach. "We should go home," I said, but my voice came out husky. He nodded and lowered the gun, slipped it neatly into a holster near his back. He took my hand and pulled me behind him to where his motorbike was parked outside. He picked me up and put me on the back seat, and before I could move anymore, he kept his hands firm on my waist and kissed me. I didn't know what to do. My entire body was hot. I leaned into him, my hands wrapping around his neck as small droplets of rain began to fall on my skin. His hand held my neck, his teeth biting my bottom lip gently. He leaned back and wiped a small raindrop off of my cheek.
"I couldn't stop," he said softly. "It's too ingrained in my head that the only way to do things."
I frowned. "The only way to do things?" He shrugged and handed me a black helmet and sat down in front of me. Hesitantly, I wrapped my arms around his chest. I shouldn't feel this way about a man who had been stalking. But I did, and I was beginning to realize I couldn't get rid of this feeling, and that kiss had just made everything so much harder.